age panel frame coming at you.
Live.
Coming at you live, baby. Saturday Night Live.
Today, this week, we watched the best picture winner of 2022, CODA.
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 Wait, like, they were like this, right? On the thing?
I guess so, yeah. This means CODA.
Yeah, this means...
Actually, CODA is actually an acronym. It's...
Child of Deaf Adult.
Yep.
Or how I like this... Yeah, Child of Deaf Adult.
Okay, and that's exactly what we have here. So we have Ruby, who is a young daughter. She's later years of high school, looking to go off to college. And she has her parents, Frank and Jackie, who are both deaf, and her brother, Leo, who is also deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a coming-of-age movie. And the thing that kind of makes it really stand apart from other movies is, well, it's about a child of deaf adults.
Which is something people do not think about. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I never. How do you even become a hearing child if you've got two deaf parents and one deaf brother? Like, is it a genetic thing, and then you just don't inherit it?
You're looking at me like I know.
Aren't you deaf?
Wait,
What'd you say?
Wait, what's the camera doing here? Oh yeah, this means love, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess one of the things I want to talk about is what's special about this movie. Because honestly, for the first half of it, I don't want to get into spoilers yet, but for the first half of it, I thought this is almost like your typical coming-of-age movie. And for a Best Picture winner, I guess I was expecting a bit more. But I think one of the things this does really good is it understands itself, and it knows that there's a proven formula for these coming-of-age stories. So you have...
Really?
Yeah. So one movie I want to compare it to, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's called Edge of 17.
Maybe.
But if you haven't, if the viewers haven't, I'm just going to draw some of the parallels. So we have a girl who has some trouble with her family. Brother is potentially getting into relationships with one of their friends. I know that's not a huge part of this movie. But yeah, so you have kind of like...
What's Edge of 17 about?
It's about a girl who has like a lot of trouble at home with like parents, with her brother relationship. And then I guess she's maybe like... I think she was a little depressed. And she finds a teacher or who kind of acts as a counselor for her. And it's kind of like... It's honestly, it's just big of... The big part of that movie is just like her coming of age and just like kind of like discovering some stuff and moving on to college.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to kind of jump back to what you said is like this knows itself well and that it's a typical coming of age story and it follows a formula. See, when I first got into it, like the first opening scene with them on a fishing boat, I was like, oh great, like here's another sad pity story about deaf people and like, you know, like pity. I thought it was going to be like a pity story that took itself so seriously in this melancholic drama. And I was just prepared to be like, okay, yes, I understand these people have struggles. Like, and I thought I was just going to be sad. And this was going to take me through this like emotional journey. But this movie is great.
Yeah, it's so feel good.
I know, it's so wholesome. And it's like, what? Like, I can't believe they didn't tackle like the drama part of it. They tackled like this is a real family with real struggles. Like and it was like they were just a family that were just happened to be deaf. It wasn't like deaf was their thing.
Yeah.
They just happened to be deaf, but they struggled just like every other family struggles, and it was so refreshing.
Yeah, I guess the one thing where it is kind of like I guess a little more deep, a little more dramatic. It's okay. So Ruby talks about how like this is kind of like burdensome for her because her whole life. Well, maybe not burdensome. That may not be the best word, but her whole life she's been translating for them, and they're a poor family, so they can't afford a translator like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the only hint we get that like, you know, being deaf has like its huge troubles. But for like you said, for most of this, it's kind of like they're living their lives. They're okay with this.
Yeah.
And I mean, they all seem to like thrive together. Besides for the fact that they kind of like maybe unintentionally use Ruby for her translations too much.
And she kind of, And like I feel so much pressure on her. She feels like
Yeah.
you kind of feel sorry for her because she doesn't want to say no to her family.
Yeah.
But she's giving up like her dreams, her aspirations, her like herself to help her family.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think her parents really see it. It's really her brother that kind of is bothered by it because he's wants to be like the man.
Yeah. So I guess one more thing I really think this movie does good is the relationships it builds. Now, one of the issues is I think the love relationships, the love interests. I don't think those are done as well. But then again, there is the argument that this is high school, so those relationships can only be so complex.
Like her and Miles.
Yeah, her and Miles, and I'd say any relationship her brother has. It's kind of like, I don't know. It feels a little tacked on, maybe because that's sort of like the formula of these types of movies, almost like it has to be. I don't know if it necessarily adds the most, but I think her relationship with her parents and her brother, it's super complex, and it adds just like a whole nother layer to this movie.
And I think her parents' relationship is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like it's very complex.
Yeah.
I don't. So you've got her dad is like this bearded. He kind of just looks like just a sailor, right?
Yeah.
Like this bearded man.
Smokes weed.
Yeah, smokes weed. You could imagine him like having a pipe, or tobacco pipe or something. And his mom or her mom is like Miss Pageant or something. She was like a pageant winner when she was younger. And you like think about like how did the hell did these people come together?
Yeah.
Like this is like the exact opposite of, like two opposites and coming together. Like how did she end up with him and he end up with her? And then you think about like, probably the deaf community is pretty small, and so like, she probably would not do well with somebody that was not deaf, and he probably wouldn't do well with somebody that, and it's just that kind of like just even that relationship itself makes you think about the history these characters have.
Yeah.
Which is good storytelling. Let's talk about her brother. Imagine how he feels and imagine how we would feel, if we have to rely on our little sister.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, they cover this in the movie, but you can tell he's, like, burdened by this. Mm-hmm. I think it messes with his psyche, because he knows he's this adult male. He knows his parents' troubles. He's, like, in the thick of it with them.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to school. He's just working with them. And so he wants to be the man of the house, and he wants to help out with them, but he's kind of like put at a disadvantage because they look towards Ruby to solve all of their problems.
Right.
And so I think that in and of itself leads to some good relational moments between Ruby and her brother Leo.
Mm-hmm. And I would feel like I'm like a failure as a man.
Yeah.
If I have to rely on my little sister, and like you can't do anything. Like he can't do anything to help himself. He can't just gain his hearing back.
It could be part of the reason why he gets into fights so easily too.
Yeah.
Like, because
he's trying to prove himself.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's interesting to try to like put yourself in the shoes of some of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think this movie does a really good job of setting up these characters. They feel like real people.
They do feel like real people. Are the actors deaf?
I know the mom is, and she was the first deaf person to win an Oscar, and that was 20 years ago. She won Best Actress.
20 years ago?
Yeah, she won a Best Actress Oscar for when she was deaf.
Whoa.
I mean, she was always deaf, but then the father won Best Supporting Actor for this movie. I'm assuming the son was deaf.
Yeah, if not, he did a great job. Yeah, he should have won an Oscar if he was not actually deaf.
Yeah, so I don't know. Do you want to get into ratings for this before we touch up on spoilers, or?
Well, yeah, we can.
Okay. So for me, I really like this movie. I think some of the issues I did have, I kind of touched upon. It seems like it's kind of following this formula. Maybe has a love interest that didn't really need to be there. It was more just because that's like the formula.
Mm.
And I think some of the other relationships could have been done a little better, but overall it was a great movie. I loved it. It's such an easy movie to watch. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for me.
I'm going to say 9.5. 9.5.
Okay.
I love Bernardo
Villalobos.
I love Bernardo. He's the actor that plays him. Ruby is like, they click, and that's like her mentor. And I personally relate to that because I have like a mentor that kind of like this. So this was just really, this hit me right in my heart.
Yeah.
So this is a 9.5 for me.
Okay.
Great movie.
So now we're going to get into the spoiler portion of this discussion. And so, I guess, should we talk about Bernardo? Because we didn't really give him much screen time in this review.
Yeah,
so.
Let's talk about Bernardo.
So
let's talk about like his history. So who is he?
So he's an alumni from
Bradley?
No, what's it?
Berkeley.
Berkeley. Yeah, so he's an alumni from this school that Ruby could get into, or she's trying to get into.
It's a music school.
Yeah. And so he's the first person who kind of discovers both her shyness of singing and how talented she is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's once he discovers this talent of hers that he starts inviting her for private lessons to prepare for this audition to get into Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
And so he soon begins to realize how busy her schedule is with her parents. Like, she has to dedicate all this time to her parents. So many things come up, so she comes to these practices late. And
so Bernardo is this eccentric music teacher who takes no bullshit from anybody, like from any kids. Like, I don't even know if he, like, his teaching style would fly around here.
Yeah.
Like, he would get, like, talked to. Just because he's just, like, no BS.
Yeah.
But you can tell there's this, like, sense of seriousness, and he loves what he does. And he really cares about these kids. And I just feel like as soon as you see him, you feel like, okay, this guy has probably been through some stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe his own dreams didn't pan out. And so now he's this music teacher. And we also see that he has a kid. He has his own daughter.
Oh, I guess. I may have missed that.
Do you remember?
Was that after the audition?
Yeah.
He went to the family, yeah. I think so, right?
No, like, he had the daughter, he had the playpen at his house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And, so, like, there's just subtle hints that he's got this life outside of his work and his passion that just didn't plan out how he would, because there's no girlfriend, there's, and maybe, I felt maybe he was, like, gay as well, just because of his eccentricity, like, the way he kind of, like, talked about stuff, and so maybe it's, like, he had an adoptive partner, and then maybe they divorced, and so then you get all the, again, like...
They don't tell you any of this, though. This is kind of like, I guess...
It's just
reading
kind
in between the lines.
Right, and that's what good storytelling should do. It should keep you reading in between the lines. And so that's who Bernardo is. It's this Hispanic music teacher that's eccentric and takes no bullshit. And, like, Ruby's this quiet girl that's got a deaf family. And you think the two of them would never click, but they do. And the relationship they develop is so beautiful, and he just takes her under his wing, and he probably sees a bit of himself in her.
I feel like that's what makes it feel really realistic, is because it's those eccentric teachers. It's those they'll give you the hard truth as it is. They don't care about, like, any of the bullshit. Like, they don't care if they'll get in trouble. It's those teachers that feel the most human, and those are the relationships that I think students build with the teachers that last the longest and are just, like, the most important. Yeah. So, yeah, that's one of the really good relationships in this movie. Another one is Ruby to her father, which, I mean,
I love her dad, man.
Yeah, he does a very good job at with his expressions.
Yeah,
like, it almost feels like I understand his sign language.
Yeah. I know. He's like,
he makes some, like, quiet noises to sort of, like,
dude, when the parents had intercourse.
Yeah.
And Miles was in. They were explaining it to Miles. He's like,
"Oh yeah,
you gotta take the condom."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And, like, the way he was doing that, I could not stop laughing. It was so hilarious.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
I could imagine Miles just being like, "Dude, what is this guy doing, bro? Oh my gosh." That was a great scene. And her dad is just, but then I don't know. There was a point in the movie where her dad, like, was smoking weed, and she was, like, trying to barter with the Fisher guys, and he just, like, "No, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm just gonna." I felt like, is he, like, kind of giving up? Is he, like, quitting? Is he just kind of scared that he's deaf and they're not gonna listen to him? And so you saw a little bit of his evolution as a character, because at the end he stood up for what he believed in. He's like, "Screw all of you. We're gonna do our own thing."
Yeah.
And so maybe from a man's perspective, he probably felt like, I need to step up. Like, I got to stop, like, smoking weed and like, step up. And so he did.
Yeah.
Again, these little subtle evolutions of characters. It's great movie making.
Yeah, and the part of this... So there was actually a point in this movie where I was expecting more because I knew it won Best Picture. And I did think this was very, like, to the T coming-of-age movie. I think it was until a little bit after they created their own business. Mm-hmm. It was actually when they were on the boat with the supervisor. And this was the first use of silence in the movie.
Yeah.
Just complete silence, where there were sounds going on, but we just heard it from the perspective of Frank and Leo.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're taking these fish out, and we see the Coast Guards coming, and this leads to them getting their license suspended.
Yeah.
And now, after this, one thing I noticed is after this scene, this is where relationships really start to build. We get our first full-on scene where Frank and Jackie, the two parents of Ruby, have a pretty decently long conversation just between the two of them.
Yeah.
And you get some really like deep and longer family conversations where it's just very silent. And I mean, we can kind of divulge this if you want, but this also leads into what I think is one of the best scenes where Ruby's singing on stage in it's like their choir show, and it's when it's her solo with Miles. Everything goes silent, and you hear it from the parents' perspective, and you can tell they we go from hearing this beautiful song to just nothing. You just see two kids on stage, and at first you think, wow, they're really not getting anything that's going on.
Yeah.
But then the camera shows the audience, and some of them are crying, some of them are smiling, and then the parents truly understand, like, oh, she's actually a good singer. I can't hear her, but she is a talented singer.
So they have to rely on visual cues. They have to rely on like what they feel, maybe what other people are feeling, and you don't think about that. Like you don't think about the struggles that deaf people have to go through in order to really experience what we take for granted.
Yeah, and that's where the director did a good job because near the end he really throws you into the deep end like that. Where you've heard her sing the song so many times, you know what it sounds like, and then that all just gets taken away from you.
Yeah. And then the dad was like checking his buttons and stuff, and he could see like he
didn't feel comfortable.
Right, or maybe he just did not know what was going on. Because I get bored at shows sometimes, and I can hear it.
Yeah.
So it's like he probably got bored, it's just people up on a stage, you can't hear anything. It's just
until he saw the reactions of the crowd.
Yeah.
Because then that leads to so I think that's a very unique scene that I really liked. It leads to another unique scene that I also very much liked, where he takes Ruby outside and he wants her to sing to him the song again.
Yeah, and then he puts his...
And so what I was expecting was for her to do it in sign language, but instead he touched her neck and listened to her or felt the vibrations of her vocals.
Yeah.
But then I really liked is at her audition, like I thought she was going to use sign language.
Yeah.
She uses sign language along with that audition song, which
was beautiful.
Yeah. So I think one thing I didn't want to really touch upon in the spoiler free is that this has some like really hard hitting emotional scenes where I mean I didn't cry or anything, but like you get those like butterflies, you feel all warm inside, and maybe like you just pissed yourself, but no.
Jeez.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I can't look too soft on camera.
Pee on you.
Yeah.
The emotion. I want to give a great commends to the actress that played Ruby, because one, she can sing.
Yeah.
Like, man, if that was her real voice, like, she can sing. Two, she's a great actress. Three, she had to learn sign language because she's not deaf.
Yeah.
And four, very good looking. If I may say so myself.
Yeah, and from what I checked, she's not in not in too many big movies, so.
Yeah.
This is a big standout for her.
It is, and to be an Oscar winner, like to be in an Oscar one movie, like that's incredible. Yeah, she was great. Like she played, and like you never felt like she was in a high school kid. You never felt like she was going through something that you couldn't relate to. Like she always felt like a normal kid the whole way through.
Yeah. And
it was like, whoa, man, like I can relate to this girl, even though I can't relate to her, but I can relate to what she's going through.
Yeah, and another thing her emotions really come across. She almost does the same type of job her dad did in the movie, where, you know, he's doing sign language with pure emotion, and when she's arguing with her parents about like how much they expect from her, she's not even saying the words out all the time. She's like doing the exact same. She's using sign language and emotion to portray her feelings, and it comes across very raw.
It does. Like very natural. Like natural. Like those are actual parents. She's having actual conversations. It's really cool. And man, I wish this movie got like more marketing or more like, because I didn't know about it, and it's such a good movie.
I almost feel like that's maybe it's a bit of a thing with like the whole COVID. I feel like since COVID started, since CODA-19 happened, a lot of these like Best Picture nominated movies, because theaters are kind of like, they're slowing down a lot. You mostly see the blockbuster movies in theaters. So it's a lot of these like Oscar nominated movies that aren't getting as much attention as they normally do. And
they're hidden gems. They're really nice hidden gems. And they're a treat. Like, this is a treat for sure. And you can watch this with the family. You can watch this by yourself. Like, everybody will be able to. It's
also short. It's not a big commitment, you know. Like, this is a movie you could truly turn on, I feel like, almost any day of the week. Like, there are some movies where you need to be in like a mood for this type of movie, but this one I feel like you can almost watch it whenever.
And this will get you out of a mood. Like, this will put you in a good mood. Even if you're not in a good mood. I do want to talk about Miles and the relationship between Ruby and Miles. I hope they get married, like in their land of filmmaking in that movie universe. I hope they get married, because they're like, man, he put up with a lot as a kid. Like his girlfriend's family. Like, they put him through a lot. Like, they're good to each other, or for each other.
I guess. One more quick thing. So kind of how I mentioned that the relationship feels kind of like forced, but then again, it feels very natural just because it comes out of nothing, kind of like a lot of high school relationships do. And this honestly, like, she had a crush on him, and then they were partnered in the same group. That's pretty much how all like high school relationships start. So like, even though it's like kind of basic, I'd say I feel like.
Here's the thing, Bernardo.
I think he realized.
And he placed them in a group together. Yeah, for sure.
As soon as he did that, I knew 100%, because like, there's no way he'd single both of them out like that.
Oh, dude, but that just even adds more depth to Bernardo.
That does.
It's like, man, he's just a good guy, solid dude all around. And he helped her. He was he did the piano for her show. But you don't really see how it ends. Like, she goes off to college, and the family does their fishing stuff.
You don't know if they're gonna be able to hold up without
a translator or an interpreter, and you don't know like if she's gonna go do well in music. Like, you just don't know.
Or if this relationship between her and Miles is gonna last. But
or what even happens to Miles? Like, he flunks, he bombs his audition, and then that's it. And it's just like, it's like loose ends. Like, it's not a movie that gives you answers to your questions. It ends on a great note.
And it's very hopeful. We're like, I feel like it's such a like satisfying ending where you can see all the different positive ways that this story would continue.
There's just a foundation is laid, and you can interpret what else happens. It's such a good movie. I wish I could rewatch it again for the first time. It's a great movie.
I guess, I don't know, to kind of like branch off from this, we desperately need your money.
We need,
because we're trying to get an interpreter for. I know we have a huge deaf community.
Holy shit!
No, our fans, like, there's a huge deaf community of fans.
I know there's subtitles.
Well, we can't afford that yet.
So we can afford an interpreter. We can't afford free auto-generated subtitles. There's gonna be an interpreter right here in this box.
Also, we're speaking with the YouTube devs. We know we have a big blind community there too, so we're trying to get Braille comments.
Braille on the iPhone. It's gonna be a new feature. Your iPhone's gonna it's gonna communicate with Morse code. It's gonna vibrate the dots and dashes. It's gonna be great. We need your money, so please send it. Daniel's gonna put a link in the description.
Yeah, we didn't really get many subscribers to my OnlyFans, so I'm gonna link that again.
He's gonna double link it.
Yeah.
He made a new one just in case anybody didn't see the first one.
Yeah. I know it's because kind of like our views have been fluctuating on different videos.
Yeah. Nobody saw nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody saw our nobody film
Yeah.
review. So that's nice. I'm gonna find you all, and
You're gonna find nobody.
I'm gonna find nobody. Yeah. Also, we are trying to raise money for this cool like program we're doing. It's called Page Panel Frame.
Yeah.
We're trying to hit a small goal. First goal I think is nice, $1 million.
Yeah. I don't want to drag this on too long, but okay, when you get your paycheck, your 2-week paycheck, you set aside, I don't know, 30% for your needs. You know, you can put like a couple hundred in a safety fund, but then like the rest of that is all for once. And if you want Page Panel Frame to succeed,
Yeah.
I'm talking maybe 60% of your paycheck.
That's
you
it.
know?
Auto enroll. It's easy.
Yeah.
Click a button, auto enroll. 60% just goes straight to us. You don't even see it. You don't even feel it. And it's a great way to give back. This is where you are here, and then this is where you will be when you give us the $2 million. So right back to where you started, but better.
You did have that big fall at one point, but you came back.
Right. You did
And don't get me wrong, from here on out, this is just speculation.
Yeah.
But that's how it's gonna end up.
Past performance is not indicative of future gains. So you might go here and then, but yeah, like that.
Yeah.
You know, what do they say? What's this saying? Yeah, they say, if it ain't about,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
if it ain't 2 million, don't give it to us. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Page Panel Frame. I think we spent more time talking about money than we did about the movie, but
Money Panel Frame.
it's not about the money.
Money.
It's not
Money.
It's not about the money. Right, Daniel?
Yeah. It's about
Money.
It's about the crypto.
All right, Page Panel Frame. Bah.